Have you ever heard that experience is the best teacher? I've heard that most of my life, that experience is the best teacher. But what if that's not the whole truth? Like, what if we've bought into a piece of instruction all of our lives that's just not complete? It's incomplete. It's not a lie, but not complete. Experience is not the best teacher by itself. This is Barry with FatherSeekers, and this is the podcast, Teach Me to Father. Experience is not the best teacher, but evaluated experience is. Otherwise, pain will just repeat itself. Let me read that to you again. I want to read this because this is so good. Experience is not the best teacher. Evaluated experience is. Otherwise, the pain will just repeat itself. My favorite virtual mentor on leadership is John Maxwell. Here's what he said. What I've been taught all my life was not true. Experience is not the best teacher. Some people learn and grow as a result of their experience. Some people don't. Everybody of some kind of experience has some kind of experience. It's what you do with the experience that matters. And then he goes on to say that evaluated experience is the best experience. For example, here's an example. Let's say that a guy says that he's been a mechanic for 25 years. And he has 25 years of experience as a mechanic. You will know a mechanic who has 25 years of experience because you can begin to tell what you think is wrong with your car. In general, he'll interrupt you and say, no, here's what's going on. Boom, 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 boom. Because of his experience, because it's deeper and broader than just the first year he started changing tires and doing brake jobs and alternator checks or repair or replacement. What I'm telling you is that experience has to build upon the previous ones. It's got to grow. It's got to expand. It's got to muscle up. Experience that's not evaluated is just going to make us older and more worn out and not wiser. Here's the thing. Evaluated experience, mine, yours, we have to do comparisons on experience and we have to learn. Like this guy just walked through the similar circumstance, the same thing, but he had a similar response, but a little bit of a difference in the circumstance. So he learned something completely different than I did. When we begin to compare those experiences and we begin to evaluate, we're not going to make the same mistakes over and over and over again. In other words, that experience becomes a living document. It becomes something that continues to feed us and guide us and pushes forward. It's not just the same old piece of experience over and over, like Groundhog Day. That's a great example of unevaluated experience. Until the middle of the movie, Bill Murray begins to try to figure out how to get out of this mess in Groundhog Day. It's the same day over and over, and nothing changes, none the wiser, but the older and more worn out. So what I want to talk to you about today is that evaluation of your experience, like taking it to the next level. And not just thinking that you've been a mechanic for 25 years, but you can't do the deep water work on a car yet because you don't have a well-rounded experience. Now, let me tell you, there's 3 ways to get experience. Number 1, you can go to the school of hard knocks, or you can read about it and study about a particular thing to get wisdom, because because experience is knowledge. And if you have wisdom, you can make it better for the next time. And you gain insight from that experience. So you can study experience. So you can learn the hard way, or you can do it and walk through it and have somebody help you along and teach you as you go. Those are two kinds of experience. The third kind is taking both 1 and 2 and listening and combining that with a great mentor who can help you. That was one of the key elements, the game changer for me, was when I began to understand. First off, I began to humble myself to say, I can't do this alone, and I have to have somebody teach me in the areas that I know that I've blown it, because crystal clear in the moment, I've surely blown it. I've got to have somebody help me not only figure it out, but somebody who's walked this way before and who's done it well. Now I can have a person teach me how not to do, or how to do, or how to make a detour or an exit or create a new path, rather than spend years of my life paying for a bad decision. Why would we want to pay for a bad decision when we can have somebody teach us? It's called humility. It's called humbling yourself to say, you don't know everything, because you don't. I don't. But together, we begin to look and see, hey, there's something to this issue of learning together, of moving forward, of gaining traction, and actually building something that's good. Experience will take us a long way, and it will save us lots of pain. Let me talk to you about that idea. I want to take that idea forward. Let's talk about your evaluated experience as a father. But as a father, if you evaluate your experience, you probably will come to the conclusion that maybe there's some areas that you need to work on. I know I did. I found that there were significant areas. And as I look back as an older guy, that's why I do FatherSeekers. So that one of the reasons I do, because I can share my pain and experience and victories and challenges and opportunities with younger men, so that they don't have to make the same mistakes I did, and some of my friends and my brothers and guys that walk together with me. The team at FatherSeekers, that's our goal, to save. One of them is to save fathers the pain of making bad decisions and having experience that's just bad experience, that's not experience that's victorious. Now, all experience turns into victory if we use it the right way. But that's why I do what I do, is to share. And if you have somebody that can help you along with that and learn and be taught and coached, you're going to be in a good place. I want to talk about evaluating your fatherhood experience. It's my premise that fatherhood begins at birth. Here's what I mean. When we're born as boys, one of the first things that we learn once we come to life is that we learn that we have a mom and a dad. That's the way it's supposed to be. And we learn from being born that day, we begin to see fatherhood in action. As a son, we begin to observe fatherhood. Now, there's not a whole lot that we know in the early days, but we begin to absorb and pick up. And as we absorb and pick up, we begin to see what a father is like, and we begin to experience that, and he begins to teach us and lead us and disciple us and grow us and bless us and teach the way boys and men are supposed to act. If you didn't have that, then you would have been like me. You just had to figure it out. Or maybe your experience wasn't good. Maybe your dad was around but not around. He was available but not really there. The original design for fatherhood was that we had a father to teach us first how to be a good son, and then second, how to become a father through being a son. It's called sonship. So as we begin to walk that way and begin to evaluate not only our experience, but we have to evaluate our experience as a son coming up without a dad. Now, if we can evaluate our dads and evaluate the experience we had with or without them, we can begin to see a pattern that's developed for us to look at to help grow from. Now, I'm not throwing anybody's dad under the bus. I'm simply saying we evaluate their experience with their dad and how they came up. And then we see it with them and how we came up with them. There are things that we can learn that are both good and things that need to be pitched out or reworked and made better. So when I'm talking about evaluating experience, I'm talking about evaluating your own experience, evaluating your father's experience and he with you, and then begin to look at the experience that other men had with their fathers or didn't have. So you see the field just got wider. It just got broad and deep. And we can begin to evaluate other people's experience, and we can begin to see there's a lot more here than meets the eye. Now, when we talk about evaluation, if we don't reflect on our own experiences, all we're going to do is we're going to have a repetition of scars. Now, when we talk about scarring, I'm talking about making the same mistakes over and over again. There's a medical term for this. There's a medical term called scar assessment scales. And basically what happens is there are tools that measure this and measure the scars and what needs to be done and how to deal with it so that those scars can be evaluated to create a pathway to healing. So the assessment of scars, we're assessing the mistakes or the scars left on us from fatherhood that we did or didn't have. What we don't want to do is we don't want to impose those same scars on our kids. Now, this is where I failed miserably. I had no idea how to be a dad. I was learning. I watched other guys. I thought, man, they're such a great dad. How do you do that? But I never really got into. I only watched. I didn't ask for help or coaching from other men who did well. So my big ball drop, my big fumble on the field multiple times was I didn't evaluate my experience with people who knew how to talk to me about it. So I created the scars that I had on me, I imposed on my family. Now, I will forever carry that weight. Over time, you can pray and ask God to help you and heal the mistakes that you made. God will help heal. But I want to talk to you about the pathway to healing. I want to talk to you about not passing scars forward. That's what I really want to talk to you about. And while I'm at this point, if you need coaching, that's one of our big deals here. I coach fathers. I have a team that coaches dads. These guys are medical professionals. They're Marines. They're businessmen. They're guys who each grew up without a dad, but are on the journey to not let things pass forward to their kids. So we offer coaching. Listen, take that opportunity and let us say, I will give you a free 30-minute assessment to try to figure out what you need to move forward. And myself and the team can help you. You just need somebody that walks with you that can help you evaluate where you are so you don't impose the same scars. Now, I want to talk to you about this process of how medical folks, doctors, healers deal with scarring. And they apply here. That's why I want to share them with you. Number one, we have to document the scars. What are they? How did they happen? How do we get them healed? And how do we avoid them in the future as far as passing them on? How do we get them healed so that we don't keep wounding? So here's how you do that. You begin to document. So first, you track the changes. I've documented the scar. Now I want to track the changes. Is anything changed? Or is it creating more pain for me or others? Next thing, to document the scar, the initial scar, the first place you remember pain, is objectively assess it. Not subjectively with emotions and feelings and hurt and pain, but sit with somebody to help you objectively assess the scar. How did it happen? Why did it happen? Who's responsible? I've said it 100 times. I'll say it again. You and I are not responsible for the decisions our parents made that affected us adversely with divorce and fatherlessness and the weights that single moms carried. We're not responsible. We are responsible for addressing and assessing and moving forward and finding a way to heal and to become the great dads that we were designed to be. That is our responsibility. That's, again, why we exist at FatherSeekers, to help dads and sons recover fatherhood, to recover it, and then to live in it and become great sons and fathers. So we're documenting the initial scar, we're tracking it, see if there's changes, we're objectively assessing it, then we're communicating the information. Here's the big deal. If you're not diving into why you have these scars, in other words, why do you, at the drop of a hat, and you get inconvenienced, and you blow off and blow the whole house up with your anger. You ever thought about that? You ever thought about maybe I need to figure that out? Don't learn the hard way. I did. Don't learn the hard way. You are imposing scars on your family that you received. I'm not making excuse for you or me, but I'm telling you what happened. You have to communicate that information not only with yourself, to look at it and absorb it and take note of it, but you have to communicate with somebody. You have to talk to somebody about it. You have to work it out. Otherwise, you will repeat. We will repeat over and over again, even to the next generation. No, let that settle. Let that settle. The next generation. I don't want that for you. The next piece is you conduct research. How do I deal with this? How do I deal with this wound? How do I make amends with the one who wounded me? How do I get healed? How do I move past? How do I grow forward? How do I make forward movement to get the healing that is required? One of the things that's crystal clear is that if we keep sitting on it, it will only fester and get worse and eventually corrupt our souls. Scars remind us of the past. and they cause three things to happen. Now, I've always heard it said, chicks dig scars. But it's not true. At least these kind of scars, they don't. Your wife is not impressed. In fact, your kids are not impressed. And it'll hurt you. I want to tell you three things. When scars remind us of the past, they cause three things to happen. Number one is regret, to feel sorry about it, to be disappointed, distressed, even depressed, and fall into deep sorrow because we haven't mourned it properly. Now you may be stopping me in my tracks and saying, bro, I don't mourn anything. Well, you need to figure it out. We have to mourn. Mourning is a part of dealing with healing. The second thing is this, that scars, if they're not dealt with appropriately, we will build memorials to scars. Memorials. Memorial is something that honors or brings remembrance to or for someone. I know of so many people who have made memorials to their pain that they go and visit it every day. They make memorials to their scars. The third one, though, regret, memorials. The third one is monument. Monuments commemorate and celebrate. What if we went back to every scar and dealt with it and worked through it and investigated and interrogated to the point that we can make a monument that commemorated healing, that commemorated our first time ever in our history of knowing about this scar? Could look back now and see how God was with us, and he didn't cause the evil. He didn't cause the pain, the rejection, the abandonment, but he was there. Now, if you don't understand that, email me and I'll explain it. We can regret and get stuck in it. We can make a memorial and go back and honor the scar and praise the scar and let it do its work over and over again every time we go back to the memorial, or we can make a monument and celebrate the healing and the forward movement from it. We can be healed. We can be whole. And instead of scarring our families, we can teach them the great news about a healed daddy in front of them, a healed husband, a healed father, because he is not only imitating the life of Christ, but he is fathering his house through the direction, the inspiration, the empowerment, and guidance of God himself. Here's where I want to land the plane. I want to land the plane this way. We have to do, and I hate to number these, but it's the way I think. There are three things that we can do to help us get to the point where we can make this experience thing, we can make it work for us. We can look at this and we can go back and we can say three things. We can reflect, we can gain the wisdom, and then we can get guidance. Reflect, wisdom, and guidance. Let me break those down. Do you make the time to reflect about things like reflection is learning? It's learning is actively thinking about and analyzing what's taken place. It's gaining insight. It's not only gaining insight. It's not only looking for ways to improve, but it actually involves considering how it happened, understanding the whys, and what to do, the significant things to do to apply to the future, that we won't make those same mistakes again and experience more scars. Reflection, wisdom, and you will hear me talk a lot about wisdom. I love wisdom. It's the thing that saved me. Biblical wisdom, godly wisdom, wisdom from God, the Holy Spirit, to help wisdom that will give us the standards and the models which we need to evaluate our experiences, gives us the truth about life and about eternity and about fatherhood and about being a good husband. It's not subjective. It's objective. It's treating people by the ultimate source of truth. And what is your source of truth? We evaluate by what we know. What's your source of truth? Truth. You have to have an absolute source of truth. For me, it's the scripture. It's the wisdom of men of God who have read and studied and know and speak into my life. And then it's not just that, but it's my subscription to fully obey and engage with it and live it out. So reflection, wisdom, and then the third is guidance. Every man needs a guide. Every man needs someone to point the way and say, we have to go this way or we're going to crash and burn. The truth is that when we're looking forward to the future and we find that we are tailgating tethers of scars and pain and regret behind us, we have a difficult time moving forward. So today I hope I've brought clarity to you about challenging that myth that experience doesn't teach us everything. It only gives us a test. And the test is the experience. But wisdom gives the answer. It's a myth that you and I have to challenge. That experience doesn't teach us everything. It only gives the test that we have to take. We have to take the test. You can't avoid it. Avoiding the test is an experience. But wisdom gives us the answers. If you think for even a moment that experience is the best teacher, you probably will be stuck in the same lesson the rest of your life. Experience without reflection only repeats the scar. Go to FatherSeekers.org. Sign up for Father Fuel. And if you're interested in coaching, to be coached by us, we will do a free assessment. It's complimentary, no charge, no pressure, but an opportunity for you to get help, to just assess and analyze where you are. Hey, this is Barry with Father Seekers, and this is the podcast, Teach Me to Father.